Versa best company.
Versa business system.
It's a better
Versa business system.
Versa business system.
Welcome to the Versa Business Tips Podcast. I'm your host, founder and CEO of Versa Business System, Shaheen Mazloom. We're here with a very exciting guest today. Ken has been a serial entrepreneur for many years. He's the founder and CEO of Fresh Victor. How you doing today, Ken?
Really well. Hey, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Thanks for hopping on with us. So for those out there that don't know who you are and what your business does, tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So in the mid 90s, I fell in love with a girl from Guadalajara, Mexico. And I ended up following her back down there and stayed. And we got married. And I was looking for investment opportunities. And
Okay.
I'm from Northern California, from kind of the Palo Alto area, kind of
Right.
the tech center, if you will. And my
Yeah.
father taught econ before he retired. And so one thing he'd always taught me was, isn't somebody already doing it? And aren't they probably doing it better than you can?
Right.
And so to be honest, I got kind of frustrated early on because I was looking at textiles and jewelry and art and all the wonderful things that the second largest city in Mexico had to offer, but I couldn't find my fit or my niche right away.
Right.
And really luckily for me, my wife's family was vertically integrated into the 100% agave tequila business.
Really?
And in the mid 90s, I don't know if we all remember that far back, but it wasn't prevalent in the States.
Right.
You know, we were relegated to kind of that college nightmare of, I can't smell it anymore. I don't want to know about silver shots or gold shots. None of that for me. And so when I really took a sec to learn about how complex tequila is and how they drink it in Mexico, I was able to identify there are prodigious disconnects between the United States and Mexico.
Interesting.
Mexico's a cash-based society. What can you do for me today?
Right.
I don't want to see a 7-year pro forma. I don't want to know how you're going to be the next hugest brand out there. I want to know how much you're going to buy this week and what our relationship is. In other words, it's really relationship driven. Do I like you? Do I like your family? Do I want to be honest with you? The US was really much more predicated on credit terms, on long-term business outlook.
Yeah.
And so it became really apparent to me, even being naive as I was in the mid 90s, and I was, I could maybe connect the dots a little bit and help each side learn a little bit more about each other.
Right.
And that became a consulting business, which was unexpected. It was very pleasant. And I was able to do that for about 3 or 4 years, where I was able to explain to the folks in Mexico what the vertical was here.
Right.
You're exporting, it's imported. You've got a wholesaler or a distributor. You've got a retailer. You got a client that actually wants the product.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I was getting so much was, hey, if we're producing tequila, really good 100% agave tequila for $1.20, and then we go to San Antonio and it's $65 on the shelf, where's all that money going? Who gets
that? Like, why are we? Yeah, exactly. Who's getting that $65? Like,
and luckily for me, my wife's always been a little bit smarter than I am. She said, why are you showing everybody how to do this? Like, you're explaining, everything from agave as a commodity all the way through fermentation, distillation, bottling, branding, bringing it up to the States and getting it through to the consumers, whether it's on or off premise. Why aren't we doing this?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Right.
I felt kind of dim-witted when I was like, yeah, I guess. So we started to, and And that became, the next probably 15, 20 years of my life is
Right.
building these brands. Something we recognize.
So you built multiple tequila brands.
We built multiple tequila brands in both California and Austin, Texas. And it had a really good time doing it. A lot of learnings, a lot of great.
So why multiple? Were they like multiple brands at the same time?
No, that's a great question.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we had brutal focus on what we were doing, because one thing I will say, even early on, is it's such a competitive space, and distribution in the U.S. is very consolidated.
Really?
It really is. It wasn't so much.
I guess I've kind of noticed that, because like each area seems to have its main distributor, right?
That's you hit the nail on the head.
There's one distributor for the most part for each thing, right?
If we say there's like 2 or 3 prevalent ones per state, you're only with one of those 3. And so
yeah, exactly.
For all intents and purposes, we had really one customer per state.
Right.
And it was exclusive.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing well with that distributor, your hands are
tied. Exactly.
Good luck succeeding long term, because you really. So there was a lot of learnings along the way. Through a lot of travel with distributorships and with national accounts like restaurants and bars and clubs. One thing that we took a lot of gratification in was the educational process of teaching people over the years what tequila actually was.
Right.
And how in Mexico, it's used very much like 20, 25 years ago, how the US used vodka as a mixer.
Right.
To say, hey, if you have a white neutral spirit like a silver or a blanco, you can easily mix that with any of the things that you would mix with gin or vodka or rum and have a great cocktail. As I was doing this, one thing I was noticing that was so universally a universal truth was everybody was saying to me, we love your seminar. You're mixing wonderful cocktails, but do you realize how long it took you to build that one drink? And I noticed that my wife was saying, you've missed every single one of our dinner parties for the last 5 to 7 years because you're behind the bar the entire night mixing these drinks.
Right.
It's true. Squeezing the limes, mixing the agave with water. It was absolutely true. It was maybe 4.5 minutes to, make a really good demonstration cocktail.
Right. But that's about how long it takes to drink one, right?
Yes, absolutely right. And so they kept coming back. And that was kind of the point of, with large accounts as well as the distributorships, the messaging I was getting was, how do you do what you do? Just that, but in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know. If I knew that, we'd be in really good shape.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of a challenge. And so as we were building this organic tequila portfolio in Austin, Texas, we created and launched a fresh mixer to the side of it.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you built multiple tequila brands. Was it like building them, then selling them, building them, then selling them?
Yeah, it's an acquisition model. And so it really is that kind of, you build it up until it gets big enough.
You build it up, you get a name, and you sell it to one of the big guys.
That's right. And the other facet of this is you also have failures. Mm-hmm. You can get 2, 3, 3.5 years in, be doing well, and for variable circumstances, whether it's political within the distributorships, whether you have an agave crisis and the commodity goes up exponentially,
right?
There's a lot of things that can happen. And so especially in the early years, we had a lot of learnings from an entrepreneurial perspective where we were just crushed. Like soul break, like you would go, I don't want to do this ever again. And then you'd figure, it's in my blood. I got to go back.
Yeah.
So it's manic. You have your really high entrepreneurial highs and there's nothing like it. Because when you're succeeding, you're doing things the right way and it's being accepted.
I feel like that's all entrepreneurship though, right? Like it's really high highs and really low lows, right? It's like, there's not a whole lot of in-between ground, right? And when you're in that in-between ground, you're like looking around like, what is happening? Like
something's wrong.
You're just ready. Yeah. You're ready for shit to hit the fan, or like, you know what I mean? Like it's weird when it's kind of calm and things are going smooth. It's a very weird time. I think that's any business.
Yeah.
any business, you know, at any point in time, things can happen. Like, I mean, who would have thought COVID, right? Like, I mean, literally at any point in time, anything can happen, right? Like, I was on the verge of closing the biggest deal of my life. I would have made about $140 million plus a residual of about 10 figures. And oil started trading in the negative. As soon as that happened, the deal fell apart and they ended up investing elsewhere and whatever. But yeah, man, like there was nothing that could have killed this deal. The deal was pretty much done. The only thing that could have killed this deal was for oil to start trading in the negative, which is like, well, there'd have to be like a world war or something like that to happen. And then boom, COVID.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
yeah,
that went from the extremely high, like, man, like, I mean, I'd already sat down with advisors and figured out where I'm going to put what money where. Like, I mean, it was that done.
Yeah.
It was that done.
Yeah.
And then boom, extreme low. Like, it's gone.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. And then you're chasing it again.
Yeah.
You're like, all right,
that's right.
Let's go on to the next. To the next. You shake it off and then you move on to the next. So at what point did you realize that, okay, now this is the tequila business. Now we're going to get into the mixer business. That way you're doing both, right? Now you can sell both things to the clientele. At what point do you decide then, hey, let's just focus on the one?
It's a great question. And, it was an interesting evolution for us because we had just gone through our fourth tequila company. When it was acquired, it had the mixer to the side of it.
Now, give us an idea for an acquisition. I mean, how much were you selling these tequila companies for?
They're all privately held, so we're not allowed to, go into numbers per se.
10 figures.
No.
Okay.
These are much smaller deals, but with the actual attention on what was happening, what's really interesting is over that 20-year span that I'm talking about, tequila so took off.
I've noticed that. Like I started going to like bars and clubs in like 2004, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm obviously younger. But I've noticed even from there until now, like tequila's like the cool thing to drink, right? Like it's Casamigos and Patron and what's that? There's one other tequila that's like in a skinny like brown bottle that
the Don Julio 1942.
Yes, 1940. Yeah, the 1942, and it's just become like really cool. So it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, huge. It's so saturated now. You have hundreds of brands being registered every year down in Mexico with the CRT.
Wow.
They're not all going to make it. But the idea being that
what's the difference between the guys that are making it and the ones that aren't? Is it a little bit of luck or like what's the biggest difference?
I'd say the biggest impasse to success in the United States is going to be the attention that you need to draw through a distributorship. And so when you have a Casamigos situation and you have George Clooney behind it and Randy Gerber, and they have the cachet to be able to get the messaging out to the greater populace.
Is there a celebrity left that's not backing a tequila company? It's crazy.
I'd have to think about it.
Or at least some kind of liquor company, you know what I mean? Like it's like every single celebrity influencer has something to do with either they have a tequila company or a vodka company or it's wild.
It's a great space to be in if you can get that attention, but that's the hard thing that you're buying.
But it's all about, but that's any business, right?
Yeah.
Whoever gets the most attention wins.
Whoever gets the most attention, and it's not cheap to do. Like you really do need the financial backing in order to compete at that level.
Absolutely.
I don't think
or the right connections, or it could be a little bit of luck. You get some things to go viral, and then you can use the funds from going viral to to do different things. But yeah, man, it's not cheap to get attention.
It's not at all. You're so right. And for us, it became an exercise of I think my wife was convinced that we do the fifth tequila, and she said, please don't. We've done this. What where your heart and your soul and your attention and your enthusiasm was all around was that mixer. And when we left Austin and came back to California, to Northern California, one of the things that occurred was they had turned our fresh mixer into a shelf stable mixer. So in other words, the things that you're kind of used to seeing in the offerings in the middle of the aisle, our mixers were no longer refrigerated. They were just shelf stable. They were able to be at ambient temperature.
Oh, wow.
So they added, stabilizers or preservatives.
Yeah.
And so for us, it was a real indicator of, hey, this fresh space is really one we want to be involved with, because like you were saying, you're a bit younger. What matters the most to a lot of people that I interact with that are, 15, 20 years younger than I am is it fair trade? Where are you getting your ingredients? What am I putting into my body?
Yeah. Yeah. It's become so, and it's just getting more and more, I don't want to say popular, but like people more and more than ever want to know. It's just like with the news, right? They want to know where the information came from. Are you lying to me? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's everybody, feels like they've been lied to about everything. What's in our bodies, what's in our food, what's in the news, So like now everybody wants all the information.
Yeah. And it's counterintuitive. I'll tell you what, because you have the audience like you guys that say, hey, I want to know.
Yeah. And then I personally don't care, but
and then you have the distributors that are like, hey man, how do I keep this in a room for 2 years without worrying about code dates or it being fresh or refrigerated or cold chain? And so for us, you want to be unique. You want to be able to say, hey, there's nothing in our bottles that wouldn't have been on your grandmother's shopping list. Like, super simple, 4 ingredients, like no stabilizers.
Yeah.
And there's something super cool about that, because by not adding preservatives or putting a bunch of stuff in it, it's actually naturally low calorie because it's fresh. And then you're able to mix it with whatever you like.
Right.
So we don't dictate that at all. It's not like, hey, it's just a margarita mix or it's just a Bloody Mary mix. It's like, hey, man, as far as your imagination can carry you.
Right. Very cool. So how do you market that then? If all the other companies out there, I understand, the fresh is important, right? So it being fresh, there's no preservatives, whatever. But on a sales standpoint, like how do you set it at a price to where the loss makes sense? Does that make sense? So like, they're going to lose some product by it expiring or whatever, right? That's going to happen at times. How do you set a price that's not too high to where that makes sense?
So that's a fantastic question, because that works all the way through the vertical, right? It's all going to be right all the way through, or it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. Like, how do you figure that out? Because you're on the, you're on the manufacturing side, right? And then you got to figure out, okay, well, I'm going to sell it to them for this. They're going to sell it to them for that. They're going to,
yep.
How do you work all that out?
You get punched pretty hard in the beginning.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
Because you have to figure out that formula. How does that land? And, you got to put your toes in the water and really feel.
Yeah, you got to test it, right? Like, are they going to bite at this price?
Yeah.
Is this,
Yeah. And to be completely transparent, I would never recommend somebody do this. Like, this is really difficult. When we first launched in 2017, we were doing the first batching, and our total shelf life was 42 days.
Oh God.
Yeah. So you don't even really get it through distribution, like in the first 3 weeks, like,
right.
It's being produced
42 days. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So,
just put in perspective, right? Like, let's say you order something off I don't know, let's say Temu. You're not getting that for 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got to be made to, like, you got, like, that's crazy.
It was crazy.
Wow.
So it was like this double-edged sword, in the sense that everybody loved the product and we're like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I've never tasted anything like this. Give me more. But then it was also, I was going to the distributorship and taking cases back and just going 20 yards down the street and putting it in dumpsters because it was coating out. I wasn't able to
man.
move it fast enough.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have that base or that audience. And that's not even, I had the experience to talk to the proper buyers. I knew the alcohol industry. So it wasn't like I didn't have the right. It was like filling the pipeline and getting it off the ground.
Yeah.
And so that took a while.
So what did you have to speed up then? Was it the delivery itself? Was it the manufacturing? Was it or all of it? You just had to speed everything up.
You realize pretty quickly that, okay, one, we should probably be dealing with our local market because they can get it a lot more quickly than the East Coast. Like, it takes a long time. So we started to build the local market in Northern and Southern California. Mm-hmm. And then the second facet of that is we started doing shelf life studies at UC Davis in our own backyard. And because I knew through the
Now, how does that work? So UC Davis, I'm assuming that's a local college.
Yeah. So
and now they will do that from my understanding. They'll do studies for businesses, and it costs you nothing, right? It's like part of their curriculum, or do you still have to pay? You have to donate or something like that?
You actually do have to pay because you're actually asking them to provide a service in a finite amount of time. Like you're kind of want to rush the study.
Gotcha.
And so I'm saying, hey, I have 4 flavors with different ingredients. Like I've got one that's Mexican lime and agave, and I've got one that's prickly pear and pomegranate, and I've got, and I want to know.
That sounds good.
Yeah, no. So that's the great part. And I knew from the tequila business, like all I'm working against with a cold chain product is I don't want fermentation to occur.
Right.
And we're not in jail. I'm not putting it next to the heater, like trying to ferment it, or putting it directly in the sun.
Right.
So the great news for us, it turns out that if you kept it refrigerated or at like 38 degrees in your fridge, the fresh citrus, the cold pressed citrus was so high in acidity that we were good for like a solid 3 months, for about 90 days.
Interesting.
Which doubled our shelf life.
Yeah.
So that made things a lot easier, but we had to take those steps. And so from an entrepreneurial perspective, one thing I can say that's kind of inspirational is, dude, it is perseverance. It is like, hey, I'm going to get punched and punched and punched, but you got to hang.
But it also takes time, right? Like, I mean, that's time that you're just like, all right, when are we going to find out? Man, it's
gnarly.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
No, I can imagine, man. So now fast forward. So you started distributing, you said 2017?
March of 2017.
Okay. So 2017 started distributing, and you were focused heavily on the local market in what? Bars, restaurants, liquor stores,
clubs, Epicurean grocery. Yeah.
And now from there, how did you go national? Like, did you have to open up manufacturing plants in different parts of the country, or how did you go from the local market to the national market?
We're really fortunate. The partners that we have in production are actually equity shareholders in our company. So we're truly partnered.
Yeah, great.
I find that if you're on opposite sides of the table, you're vying against each other. They're trying to get
100%. I'm a firm believer in that too. Like everybody that's part of my company has they're going to win if the company wins, right? Like
1,000%.
Everybody's got to. Yeah, man. 100%. I'm a firm believer in that. It's like if you're not gonna win, if you're only winning off of your own stuff, like what do you care?
You don't.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That. So you did the right thing. They're equity partners. So then how do you go national with that shelf life?
So the really fortunate thing for us is being in Northern California, the whole country backhauls from California for fresh produce, for fruits, for vegetables, everything.
Good point. Yeah.
So the kinds of distributors that we use are food service distributors that are going to all the places, all the hotels, all the resorts, all the casinos,
right,
everywhere that we want to be.
Yeah.
And so we're able to it's almost on spec production. We're able to produce it, and they're able to pick it up within the same week. and they'll have it anywhere in the country, probably within about 4 days.
Wow.
Pretty tight.
That's crazy.
Right? It's come a long way.
And now, is that because they're already getting stuff from that area?
That's right. Yeah.
And so what? You're just somehow getting it on that same truck? Like,
that's exactly right.
What?
That's exactly right. So it's like air traffic control.
How do you work that out?
It's a lot like air traffic control. The crazy thing is, if we had to do this logistically as a smaller company, there's no way I could go to Miami and Nashville and in Dallas. I mean, it would just be way too much for somebody who's just trying to manufacture and market. So when you have companies that are already going everywhere you want to be and are already in your zip code, probably 4 or 5 times a week, you just make appointments and say, hey, you can pick up from our production facility on these days during these hours and just grab it. And it goes to exactly where it needs to go.
That's crazy. That's really cool. That's really cool. So where are you guys at? So now you guys are, what, you're 17, what are we at? 25, we're 8 years in business.
So we're 8 years in business, but what I will say is very akin to your experience. When COVID hit, we were probably 90% on premise, like these hotels, restaurants, bars, clubs, every cruise ships. And March 12th, 2020, I had every distributor in the country that we were dealing with say, if it's not already on the road, don't put it on the road. We don't know at all what's going to happen the next 3 months.
Right.
And so that probably would.
How much product did you guys lose?
That was the great part, is I was just, referencing that we can almost produce to spec. So it was like we were producing weekly.
Oh, so you were producing pretty much as it was shipping. So you didn't have a huge loss.
As a fresh product. If I had like a shelf stable product, or if I had something where I had $500K or $1 million in inventory that was waiting to go out,
I'd have put you out.
Right. And even this, in a lot of ways, at a 90% rate of on premise, it should have probably, taken us down.
Yeah.
It's just,
why didn't it take you down? I know why we didn't get taken down. We just got into a different business while things were, rocking. So what did you guys do?
So, you were referencing earlier that what's the business proposition? And for like on-premise operators, it makes a lot of sense if I can say, hey, we can do premium, fresh, convenience, consistency, all for this per ounce pour cost.
Right.
It's hard to say no, because it's like, awesome. If for the consumer side, it's like, hey, you're entertaining at home and you have, 20, 25 people over. You want to make really good drinks, but you don't want to be stuck behind the bar. You can batch our stuff. You can, curate it to whatever your audience wants. So we had to pivot to Epicurean grocery and say, hey, the problem being that I have to educate everybody to this is what our business proposition is.
Right.
It's expensive and it takes time. So luckily we have a unique enough product where we were able to pivot and get traction really quickly, because drinking in home during COVID was up 420%.
Oh, I bet.
So everybody was like, hey, don't give me the small container, give me the big containers. So that worked.
That's crazy. So how did you guys go about, was that a lot of social media?
There was definitely social media involved. It was going to the grocery, the Epicurean grocery set and the liquor store set and saying, hey, our product, essentially, you have nothing like it.
Right.
And it creates a halo effect over your wine and liquor department because.
Right. Because they want stuff to mix with it, and they want different things to mix with it. And
that's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Yep. Very cool. Very cool. So you guys made it through the tough times of COVID. And so where are we at now from 7 years ago? I mean, do you guys have a big chunk? Like if I go to my local liquor store, is it most likely that I'm going to see Fresh Victor there? Or are you, like, where are you guys at as far as a market share now?
So we experienced a shift back to on-premise greatly because that's where it kind of lives and breathes.
Yeah.
The great thing about on-premise is they purchase it and then they use it right away the week that they buy it because they're pouring drinks if we're on menus or, whatever else. And then with off-premise.
Now with that, you're not getting really the branding for that though, right? Like it's not in the menu that it's like, vodka with fresh Victor pomegranate pear, right?
That's a very intuitive question. Not many
so
people ask me that question.
Well, that would be my first thing, right? Like, how do I get these bars, restaurants, and whatever to actually? So that's how people find out about my stuff, because that's what I would want, right? I want people to know about my stuff when they go to the bar and restaurant, and I want them to know that they can actually get that at home.
You're 1,000% right.
So that's what you did
next. We think the same way. It's really interesting too, because in the beginning, they look at you and they go, "We don't know what this is."
Yeah, exactly.
And so why would we give you recognition? Then I found as they learned what it was and as they got really excited about, hey, this is super quality, I found that they would just take my ingredient panel and put it on their menu, like fresh, cold pressed, lime juice, organic agave nectar. And I was like, oh no. It's taken quite a long while. It's taken, literally years to get to the point where I can say, hey, I want the same brand equity or same brand recognition. If you're saying this is made
if
with
you're saying Grey Goose
or Patron or Bacardi, I want the next thing to say Fresh Victor, Cactus Pear, and Pomegranate.
Yep. Otherwise, you're in violation of whatever, right? Like you can not sell to them.
Yeah, and it's funny because.
Did you lose any clients trying to do that?
No.
I'd assume nothing significant. Like
it just took much longer than I wanted it to. We had.
Great things take time.
Yeah, we had those conversations where guys were just like, "Yeah, no," and then
I bet
I'd have to weigh that against. Okay, so they're using our stuff, but it's passive income. It's not really helping our cause, aside from the revenue. And then now in 2025, I'm experiencing a new lease on life as far as me just being able to go in and say, hey, we want this to be a Fresh Victor mimosa or Fresh Victor margarita. And they're like, yeah, that makes sense. Or Fresh Victor Paloma. Yeah. So we're experiencing a lot more love that way finally. But
that's great.
It's like that 10-year overnight success story, right? It takes a lot longer than you think.
Oh yeah, it always takes a lot longer than we thought it would or that we think it should, right?
That's right.
But that makes sense as far as, you get people excited about it, you get people to know about it. All right, now you want everybody to know about it. So that's the plan from here now, right? Is to everybody gets it at the bar and the restaurant and the liquor store and then they realize, oh, I can actually get this online. And so is that what you're gearing more towards? Okay, everybody orders it direct from our website and it goes right to their home.
So yeah, those three channels. I would say that the 3 channels are definitely prevalent, and so we have Epicurean grocery in the way of like Whole Foods in regions and Bristol Farms down in Southern California and, these types of places. And then we have, we just rolled out with Total Wine and More.
Nice.
In Northern California. Our next move is probably Texas to look at.
Texas big.
Yeah. And then website, if you just go to freshvictor.com, that's the really cool thing is that you can just curate what flavors you want because we have 9.
That's cool.
And then we just send it directly to your front porch.
That's awesome. I'm going to have to try that out.
I'll get you some.
Definitely, man. Definitely. My wife is actually a killer bartender. She's been bartending for 40 years, and she's amazing. She's always making some, some kind of. We don't really drink at home, but when we have people over, like when we go to somebody's house, like she always wants to make some, some kind of cocktail. And yeah, man, it's I'm no bartender, that's for sure.
Yin and yang.
Yep. Dude, it's been a pleasure having you on, man. It sounds like everything's going really well. It's unique. Have people tried to copy you?
Yeah, like any space, you're going to get, I think the only way to validate a category is to have others. And so there's now at this point really just several. I mean, it's not like there's a lot of them that want to do the fresh thing because it is really difficult to do. But mad respect for the people that are willing to put in the hard work to create something like that.
It sounds like a really long process. I mean, there's not a lot of businesses that I mean, it's a super time consuming, right? Like there's a lot of things that have to happen and things that take time that you got to figure out throughout the whole process. There's certain things that can't be rushed, right?
That's right.
Like with some businesses, you can go out and close a deal today and you're, rocking and rolling, right?
Yeah.
With that, it's definitely there's some time. And I mean, as you're 8 years in, and just now getting to that brand awareness through through the distribution and through the the restaurants and hotels and all that stuff. So man, it's exciting, man. I can't wait to see it. The next 2 years are probably going to be insane for you guys.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. I think everybody is, man. Like the next 2 years in business, the next 2 to 4 years in business, I think are going to be insane. Like just what we've seen in the last 8 weeks since the election, like businesses are excited again. People are expanding like crazy. Like there's just a newfound, like, I don't know, excitement in entrepreneurship as a whole. And, with this huge wealth transition too, with all these businesses going up for sale and people retiring, what is it? The baby boomers are, retiring and selling their businesses. And, it's just a really cool time. There's a lot of big, huge acquisitions happening, like, with technology and AI, and it's just a really fun time to be in business. That's for sure.
A lot of transactions.
Yes, a lot of transactions. It's nuts. Ken, I appreciate you hopping on with us. I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. Dude, I can't wait to talk to you again and here in the next couple of years. I can't wait to try Fresh Victor. Is it freshvictor.com?
It is. Exactly. Perfect. Right.
So freshvictor.com, we can curate the different flavors, have it sent right to our home. Now, if they want, if they have like a bar, restaurant, hotel, is there a different site for wholesale or for distribution?
They can contact us right on our website and just leave us a message and we get back to you the same day.
Perfect. Awesome. Sounds good, man. Well, I'll make sure to put the link in the description. And, dude, can't wait to talk to you here in the near future.
Thank you so much. I had a great
Thanks, brother.
time.
We'll talk soon.
All right.